everybody, it's Emily, and it is weekly wrap-up time. And I read a total of, I think, 5 books this week, which is more than I anticipated, but there's a reason I read 5 books. So the first book I finished up, I talked about it last week a little bit, was City of, was it Lost Souls? Whatever the 5th book is in the Mortal Instruments series, I finished that up, and I gave it 3 stars. Just as I'm reading the Mortal Instruments, I am here for these characters in this order. Magnus, Simon, Alec, and Izzy. I really don't care about anybody else. Then, for the Read Your E-Reader-a-thon, I planned on reading Just One Day by Gail Forman, and then I was going to read one of my other books. And I enjoyed Just One Day. It was good, but I wasn't like falling in love with it. Like, I definitely enjoyed it more than I thought I would, but I wasn't like, oh my god, best book ever. But then it left you on this like cliffhanger, and I was all, well, now I have to know what happens. And I was super excited because I thought I had the second book already downloaded on my iPad. So I was like, okay, I'll just move on. No, apparently what I had downloaded on my iPad was book 2.5, which was like a novella that followed up the first 2 books. And so I ended up downloading the second book, and I just binge read all 3 of these books in like 2 days because I just really wanted to know what happened. And so I read Just One Day, then Just One Year, then Just One Night, and yeah. And I will be honest, the second book, Just One Year, I basically skimmed it. Especially like the second half, because I was curious, because the second book is basically the same type of story, just from his point of view. And I was curious about it, but I didn't really like care a ton. I just kind of felt weird skipping over it, and so I just basically skimmed that book. So it only took me a couple hours because I just pushed through it so I could find out what happened, and it was enjoyable. So I'm giving like the whole trilogy like 3.5 to 4 stars, maybe closer to 3.5, maybe like 3.75 stars, because they were really enjoyable. But I definitely will say that like if you have to wait a long time to read each of these books, it probably wouldn't really be worth it as much in the end. And so I recommend if you can just binge read them all in like one big chunk, it's definitely more satisfying. And it's just one of those where like if you like young adult contemporary romance, you're probably gonna like this trilogy. If you don't, you probably won't like this trilogy. But I liked it. It was enjoyable. So yeah, I definitely read more like 6 books and not 5. I don't know why I said 5 before. So then for the Pitch Wars competition, which I've kind of talked about before, that I'm part of, I decided to download and borrow from my library some of the books that the mentors I have chosen, some of their books that they've written. And so I read 2 books by Brighton Walsh. She writes new adult/adult romance. And the first one I read was Plus One, which is more of a novella length, and it is about a young woman who is going to a million weddings, and one of her childhood friends comes as her plus one, and well, you can probably tell what happens next. And it was really fun. It was really cute, enjoyable. I kind of wish it was longer because I would have liked to dive into the characters more, but it was definitely a good time and really fun. So I give it like 3.5 stars. And then I read one of her other books, which is her debut full-length novel, and that is Caged in Winter. And this is a new adult book, and it is about this character named Winter, and the hero of the story is Cade, and they're both college students. She is very independent. She works at a pub where it's kind of like one of those places where like they dress very skimpily, and the waitresses kind of like flirt with the guys that work there, and she basically is completely on her own, and she just wants to graduate and move on with her life. And then Cade is a student who wants to be a chef, but he also lives with his sister and his niece, and of course they meet and they fall in love and things happen. And this was also really enjoyable. Cade was slightly more I need to protect my woman type of a character than I usually like, but it didn't prevent me from enjoying the story. I would have liked to see the end a little bit differently. Like, I ultimately like how it ended, but I think there could have been some minor tweaks that I think would have empowered Winter a little bit more, but I still really enjoyed it, and I also gave this 4 stars. Also, Brighton Walsh. super sexy writing. Like, it's all over the place, so if you're not into that, they might not be for you. And I also read Magic Bitter, Magic Sweet by Charlie N. Holmberg. I really love the Paper Magician trilogy by Charlie N. Holmberg, and so I've really been trying to read her other books. I read Followed by Frost last year, and I liked it, but I didn't love it. And I did enjoy Magic Bitter, Magic Sweet better than Followed by Frost. I thought it was a really interesting concept. It's about this character, and she has these magic abilities for when she bakes, where she kind of like puts like emotions into the things that she bakes. And then her town is raided, and she is captured and enslaved. And basically this whole story is like her trying to figure out who and what she is. And there's this whole mystery around it, which was cool, but at the same time, it just made the book very confusing, because like the one person being thing that could help her, who was also like the romance interest, he like couldn't tell her anything, and it was just all very confusing, and I felt like there were lots of parts that weren't really necessary or could have been used better. And I think I liked the ending, but I don't know if I completely understood the ending. And what I did like about it, again, the concept was really cool, and I really like how her books always seem like they're going to be these sweet, cute, little innocent stories, but they end up being a lot darker and twistier than you first think it is going to be, and I really enjoyed that about her, because it's really surprising. But I also will say there's definitely some physical abuse trigger warnings, and so if that's a thing that is going to trigger you and really going to bother you, this probably is not the book for you, because sometimes I felt like it was a little bit overboard at times. Even though I knew it was appropriate for the characters and the story, I was also kind of like, alright, we get the idea. We don't need to continue pressing this idea. But it was interesting, and I gave it like 3.5 stars, maybe closer to 3. I'm still undecided, mainly because I'm still kind of confused. Those are the books I read this week. Tell me what you read. If you've read any of these books, tell me your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching. I love your faces, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye!